Hi, welcome to week 2, the DAW. I am Brian Cuban, and in today's demonstration, I'm going to add a software instrument and record Midi and quantize it in my DAW system, and all that goes along with that. So here we go. So let me show you the equipment I'm going to use today to accomplish my goal. The first thing is my Midi controller. It's a Fetar SL880. It's a piece of equipment I've had for 16 years now. It's ancient, but it still works as a controller. I am also going to use an adapter cable that on one end has 5-pin Midi in and out, and on the other end a USB in. This is a connector that I use for an older style keyboard like mine. It's basically a 5-pin Midi connector. There's an in and there's an out. This 5-pin connector right here says to Midi out. What it's telling me to do is plug it into my Midi out on my port on my controller. So I'll go to my controller, it says Midi outputs, and we will plug that bad boy in, just like that. And on the other end I have a USB cable, and I'm just going to plug it into the front panel here, which I've already done. Simple. My next step, I'm going to open my DAW system. Today we're using Pro Tools 10. Now we're going to check out the Session Properties menu. It pops up before you create the session folder. So if you look on the top, it says Create Blank Session. That's what we're going to do right now. Broadcast wave files, what I'm choosing, 24-bit, interleaved, 44.1. OK. Now it's going to ask me to name it. I'm going to name the session Midi. I'll hit OK, and it pops open. Now that we have the session open, let's create some tracks. So on Pro Tools, on the top menu bar, it says Track. Go to that, hit New, or Shift-Command-N. That's the key command, Shift-Command-N on Mac. Then you can choose on this menu what kind of tracks you want to build. Right now, I'm going to build myself one mono instrument track, and then I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to have one stereo instrument track. And boom, boom, shaka-laka-laka, boom, there they are. Now let's name these tracks. The top one, the mono one, I want to name it Click. And when I highlight the name right here, I double click on it, a box appears, I can name it. Click, OK. Now let's do the same thing on the stereo instrument track. I have titled that stereo track MIDI Drums. Alrighty, we're in the edit mode right now. What I mean by that, this window right here is called the edit window, where we do a lot of our editing of MIDI and audio. Now from here in the edit window, we're going to go up into the menu bar, and under window, I want to click it and I want to pick Mix. Now I'm in the Mix window. This is where you see your faders, pan controls, as well as the same things that were on the edit window, the solo, mute, and record. Up on the top of these modules, you'll see Insert and Sends. Okay, the inserts are for like bringing in plugins such as reverbs, whatever you want, compression, and instrument tracks. And we're going to pull in right now on this mono instrument track, we're going to pull in a Click plugin. And there it is right there. And I've created a preset for this called Cube 1. And now on the stereo instrument track, under Insert, I'm going to pull up an instrument track called Addictive Drums. And this is the demo version that's going to pull up here. I haven't bought the full version yet, so I only get to use my kick drum, snare drum, cymbal, and a hi-hat. This is a fantastic drum software instrument program. I would consider it a sampler, as I believe that the sounds in there are samples and not synth-created sounds. Now on my controller, each key is assigned to a sound on the sample module. There's my kick, a snare, 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 different kind of snare. That's a rim shot or a side stick. So there's all kinds of different variations of the actual samples. Now we're going to go back up to my window and go back into edit mode. And we are going to set the tempo. It's already set at 120, but on the very top of the session here on the ruler bar, it says tempo right here. And I can click on this and I can set to any tempo I want. I'll tell you what, we'll set it for, I don't know, 130. There we go. So now our tempo is at 130. Now I'm going to pull up my transport control by using key command, command 1 on a Mac. The 1 is on the numeric pad. See, hold down command, go to the keypad, hit 1. And voila, there's my transport control. Now the reason I'm bringing this up here is because I want to set my pre-roll. Pre-roll is how much time before the track starts recording. So if I hit pre-roll and engage it here, I enabled it, I'll go to the measure number right here and I'll hit 2. And that what will happen is from wherever my marker is on, or my cursor is here on the grid, actually we'll go into grid mode, on the grid, wherever it's at, the click will start playing 2 measures prior to that. And there you go. Now that it's enabled, we'll go up to our ruler bar on the top, and I'll put my cursor on measure 9 right there. And I'm in grid mode, and then when I hit play, it rolls back 2 measures before measure 9. The reason I like to use pre-roll is so that I can get a good feel for the tempo before I start actually doing the performance. That way I really have a great concept of the time. So now I have my marker set at measure 9, and that's where we'll start recording. I am now going to arm the track on MIDI drums. It is armed. I found the kick and the snare that I like. And this is velocity sensitive. Loudon had talked about that in a tutorial in this week's lessons. Not every keyboard is velocity sensitive. Be aware of that. So let's start recording. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my record enable button. It'll count off 2 measures, and then I will play 2 measures. In Pro Tools, the number 3 on the keypad enables recording. So if I hit 3, it starts going right away. And as you can tell, I use that button quite a bit. Here we go. I recorded only 2 measures of drums. But if you listened, I used different velocities as I played it, those 2 measures. In the MIDI edit window on Pro Tools, the MIDI information looks like a region or a clip. And I can highlight a clip just by touching it. On the track itself, there's a track view selector. And right now it says clips. I'm going to switch over to notes. And you can see that instead of a region, you have a bunch of notes now. I've zoomed in on the MIDI data, and as you can see, this note's a little early, 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 this one's perfect, that one's a little early, a hair early. So, you know, I'm a human. I'm not perfect. I want to set up a loop of this track so we can listen to it play through by highlighting 9 to 11 on the ruler bar on the top. That gives me a full 2 measures. I'm now going to disengage my pre-roll, and now I'm going to play the track. It sounded pretty good. That first kick drum was just a little bit early. I'm going to turn off the click because I can still hear that playing, and I'm going to move that first kick drum more into the grid. First, we're just going to mute the click with the mute button. Here's my toolbar up here. I'm going to grab the grab tool. I'm in grid mode right now, so anything I move will snap into the grid. I'll grab this. Boom. I'll move that snare over too. And I'll do this one too. So that's an easy way to quantize a selection. Use that grabber tool and snap it into the grid. Make sure you set your grid where you want it to be. 1 bar, 1 beat, a half a beat. Now I'm going to change that grab tool to my selector tool. Go to the track and we are going to highlight within a grid here the notes. Now on the top of the menu there's Event. I want to go to Event Operations, Quantize, and I want to set my quantization to eighth notes and apply, and they will all snap right into place. Play. Well, that concludes my way too long video about MIDI recording and editing. Thanks for hanging out. If you have to knock off points for my length of video, I understand. I did have to get all the information in there though, otherwise I feel like I'd been cheating you. So I apologize, and next week I will have a shorter video. I'm going to bed.